All right, how's everyone doing today? I'm going to go ahead and give you an indicator explanation on the indicators that I use that I feel are the best indicators, and that they're my favorite indicators that I use on every stock purchase that I make, whether it be for the long term or if I'm trying to uh, trade for just a couple months. So I'll go ahead and show you guys step by step how I set up my indicators, and it's completely free. There's no sign up required. So I'll get into it here. So we'll go ahead and analyze PepsiCo just for example purposes. I'm not going to go into would I buy it, would I not buy it, but I'll just go ahead and show you guys how I set up my analysis for each stock. So first, you're going to go to Advanced Chart. It'll open up a new tab. We'll go back to the other tab, and we'll go to Dividends. And what I like is the dividend yield and the dividend growth. And we have our advanced graph here. And so we'll go ahead up to here and say Add Indicator, and we want Aroon, and we want MACD. Okay, so once we get those set up, go ahead and drag this down to where we get the 50 line. There we go. And I like to compress this just a little bit. Okay, and we'll go over to settings and we'll do style and Aroon up. It just makes more sense if it was green. So I'll go ahead and make it green for y'all. And then it makes more sense if Aroon down was red, like green and red. It just makes more sense if buy means green and red means sell, right? Okay. We'll do the same thing for MACD over here. So we'll go ahead and uncheck the histogram. I don't use it. You can if you want. It's basically just a volume indicator. We have one up, so I'll show you that. And then we go over here. MACD will change to green, and signal will change to red. And for inputs, go ahead and make it 15 and 30 for your slow length. You could use the original, but I like to add just a little bit longer period, just because I'll be looking at the year chart. And we'll go ahead and go to the year chart here. And I like to drag it over a little bit so we can try to predict the future. That's what we're doing. Okay, so first I wanted to go into the dividend yield charts, okay? So I only invest in dividend paying companies. Dividend growth and stability is a really good indicator of overall company health. This will work for ETFs too. So overall, what the ETF, the underlying securities are paying. And I consider this a backup plan, basically, if my indicators fail or the market drops, right? So I think the company, so I'll go into it over here. I'll go ahead and show you guys. So dividend growth, right? This is overall company health here. Looks great. Even through 2008, looks great. It's going straight up, right? We'll go to dividend scorecard, payout ratio. You want this to be, this is a little high, but you want this to be below, 70%. You want it to be ideally below 50%. So they have enough. This is basically how much money they're paying out in dividends versus their net income. So you want this to be low enough to where they can still reinvest and grow the company, because that is the overall goal. And then the dividend yield graph. So this is basically just showing you the dividend, so how much dividends are per market price, right? So with the dividends are being above 3.3% right here, and it hasn't gone that high any other time, right? It's a little hard to explain, but I'll explain it for you guys as best I can. So when the dividend yield is low like this, that means the share price is high, right? And it's abnormally high. So this takes into account the dividend growth and the growth of the stock itself. So when you expect the dividend to be at about 2.65%, that seems to be about average, and it's up here at 3.3%, that indicates that the share price is cheap, right? And that's the long-term strategy for this. This is a backup plan. Remember, this is over years, right? So when it's cheap like this, then I know that I have a backup plan. I know that if my indicators that I'll get to next fail and my 2-month trend that I'm trying to ride up fails and the market drops, well, I know this this stock was already cheap to begin with, and I'll just buy more of it when it goes down because I know it's going to go back up based on this graph alone, right? You can do that with this graph alone. So I'll go ahead and go to the next. So this is my backup plan. This is if all else fails, I know that I will be okay and I won't lose money. I know that eventually the stock will go up, and I'm okay with holding this stock until it does go up. That's very key. So that's why I only invest in dividend paying companies for this graph. Also, sometimes, right? So right now, it's at about its average. I will still invest in this company if I get a good enough signal from my other two. It's not like it has to be high, right? But if it is high, I know that that's my backup plan. I know that I'm gonna sleep good at night because I know that the share price I got it for was cheaper than usual. So I'll go ahead and explain to Aroon. So Aroon is a lagging trend indicator, right? So it lags a couple periods behind. It's basically used to determine the strength of the trend that you're in. So it's something that you got to brush up on every couple of days. And this algorithm basically incorporates volume, price, and time into it. So we'll go ahead and take a look at Aroon here. So I wanted to point out a couple examples right here, right? So you have Aroon crossing. So when the green line goes over the red line, that's an indicator that the trend is changing, okay? And when it hits 100, that's great. That's what you want to see. You want to see it hitting 100. Then when it comes back down and hits 100 again, that's another really good sign. So right here, you would have bought it, and it would have gone up to here, okay? And even if it comes down to here, you're still up $5-6, right? You bought it here, and you're holding it up here. So that's what Aroon is used for. So the green line, you want to see go up, hit the top. If it has a little point down and then hits the top again, I would buy it. That's when I buy. That's my entrance point. I'll also take into account MACD down there, but you also, so when it hits the top like this, you also want to see the Aroon down, the red, down at the very bottom or below 30%. That's what I usually use. You want to see Aroon down below 30%, and you want to see Aroon green at 100, drop down a little bit at 100 again. Okay, so this pattern repeats itself every time you see a trend going up, right? So this whole trend going up right here, from here to here, was indicated by Aroon. So here you go. You get the cross. Okay, I'm interested. Hits the top. Okay. Is Aroon, yes, this is down below 30% and this is above 100%, but it's still not a very clear indicator, right? It is that they're both at the extremes, but I also want that little nudge. That's what I want. I want this little notch right here. I want it to go down and then up. And when I see that and Aroon is below 30%, so right here is when I would have bought, and I would have held until Aroon up falls below 30% to right here. So that's how you do it. So your buy is when you get that little notch and Aroon below 30%, and your sell is when Aroon up goes below 30% and Aroon down is below 30%. So right here I wouldn't have sold because Aroon up did go below 30%, but Aroon down was above 30%. So that just means the market is doesn't know what to do. It's basically flatlining. So you don't need to sell there. You're just holding it, not making anything. And then you would have missed this whole trend if you would have sold there. You would have made, but you would have missed this whole trend, right? Because that's not a clear indicator. You don't want to just preemptively sell. So that's Aroon. That's how you interpret Aroon. I do this every time I do a financial analysis video. So if you want to get really good at it, then just keep watching my videos. But this works for pretty much every trend that you see. And now I'll go into MACD. So MACD is basically two moving averages, right? So you have a long moving average, which is the red line, and you have a short moving average, which is the green line. This is one of my favorite indicators. This paired with Aroon really does not fail me, right? So what you're looking for here is the green line to cross the red line, okay? It's all about lines crossing. It's really simple. A lot of people try to make it really hard, harder than it is. This is simple stuff, guys. Keep it simple and you'll be fine. Don't read too much into everything that everyone has to say. It's not true. Okay, they're just trying to confuse you or make money. So here, the green line passes the red line, right? Oh, but we don't have an indicator from Aroon, right? So I would have hold off because MACD will give you sometimes some false positives. Okay, you want to be wary. See right here, it gives you this little false sell pause, this little false negative basically, which is just a false sell. You don't want to sell because Aroon. You want to take both of these into account. So that is key. Okay, so here we have a cross, but Aroon does not show anything. So when the green line passes above the red line, that is usually a buy. That means that the short-term momentum has outpaced the long-term momentum, indicating a trend upwards. So, and it works both ways. So when it's below the red line, that indicates a trend downwards. And here you see we have a trend downwards and the green line's below the red line. Here we have a trend upwards. We have a trend upwards here. And the green line is above the red line, right? So it makes a lot of sense. And right here is when the line crosses, but Aroon does not give me a signal. So I like to confirm with Aroon, right? So I would have waited because I like to be a little conservative. I don't want to lose money. Since I have my green line, my MACD above my indicator line, and I have my Aroon at the very top, at the very top of at 100% of its bound range, this is when I want to buy right here because MACD has given me a signal a long time ago. The stock's going up, and Aroon just gave me the signal to buy. So I am confident that the stock is going to go up. And then I get this extra buy signal from Aroon right here, goes down, and then shoots right back up. And MACD is still above the line. So those are the two that I used, right? These are the two that I use, and I keep it simple like that. And this is all you have to do. And you would have gained just in PepsiCo right here. Well, we said we buy it here, 112, sell it here, sell it around here, 120. That's $8 in just 2 months on one share of PepsiCo. And that's what I look for, guys. Those are my indicators explained. That's how you set them up. And yeah, so MACD is two moving averages. It's used to determine short-term momentum. I went into that. It's basically a 15-day average versus a 30-day average, and if the 15-day average is above the 30-day average, then it's a trend upwards. And then the last thing you want to do is your personal determination of the company's financial stability, right? If you think that the company is going to go bankrupt or is not in a good financial position, then of course you're not going to invest in them, not for just if you're trying to swing trade it for a month, because a lot of times what will happen is you think that the indicators are telling you to buy, and the stock price falls, and it never recovers because there's something inherently wrong with the company. So if you determine that that company is just not good, I need to get out of it, then don't buy it, right? Then like do your personal research on every company, and make sure that it's a company that aligns with your values and will continue to make a profit indefinitely or within a reasonable period of time to where you can earn your money back if the stock market does fall. So this is how you mitigate your risk, doing this kind of weak trading is what I like to call it. Like there's a lot of day traders out there that try to use candlestick charts and balancing and breakthroughs and all that stuff. I focus on the monthly basis. It's much more stable. It's much easier for beginners, and it's made me quite a bit of money. I enjoy doing it. It's fun to do. So don't get caught up in all that day trading. My favorite way is doing weekly trading or monthly trading, right? So you buy it at one point in the month, and then you sell it at a later point in the month. So then you don't get flagged as a day trader. You're still making above market returns. It's just the best of both worlds. So I hope you guys learned something in this video. And if this is content that you're interested in, please consider subscribing. I try to make videos relatively often. So have a good one, guys. See you later.